Hello wonderful people, how are you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I'm gonna be listing my top 5 pyromancies in Dark Souls 2 and the strategies and tactics that you can implement while using each pyromancy and how to counter each pyromancy that we're gonna be talking about yourself. So I'm gonna say a couple of important points before we start the video. Armor usually in this game have higher resistances to fire, since fire don't need no investment like other magics like intelligence and sorcery and hexes. So it's naturally armor will have more resistances, so you have to watch out for that. The best armors that are known, the Alone Captain armor and the Smelter armor and the Hexer armor, and there's other armors of course. Second thing, using a fire clutch ring is recommended since it increases 35 damage to your pyro glove, which in turn give you better spell damage. And also penal handcuffs are also recommended, which are Lost Sinner's handcuffs, which increase pyromancy damage. Shields in the game also have high fire resistances. Two examples are the King's Shield from Vendrick's Soul, and the other one the Gurm Great Shield, which has 100% fire resistances. Moreover, it's recommended to use the Hexer Hood since you'll get more spell count, which is lovely, you know. The best things in life are for free. You know, I'm just joking, you know what I mean. But yeah, so it's recommended to use the Hexer Hood. And also, the more you have intelligence and faith, the more fire damage you have, which means in turn you have better pyromancy damage. People usually go 30-30, but there's other ways to make it optimum. So you can check that in the wiki. So without further ado, let's start. Number 5. Area of Effect pyromancies, such as the Chaos Storm, Firestorm, Fire Tempest, and Outcry. I prefer the Outcry and the Fire Tempest. These are usually the best two, and quite Chaos, so don't use the normal Firestorm. Anyways, what's great about these spells is they have area of effect, which, you know, the spell covers a big area around you, and it does pillars of fire, which have enormous hitbox. So it's very hard, like, just to walk out of it. You have to like constantly roll out so you don't get hit. And what's the best of all, like, what's the best thing about this spell is it does enormous damage. If they don't have high fire resistances, they're gonna be hurt. They're gonna feel it, as they say. Also, this pyromancies, you know, these area of effect pyromancies are very good in fighting. When you're fighting multiple opponents in PvP or PvE, it's very good because, you know, it can hit anyone around you. And in PvP, usually when you're in a 3-in-1 situation, your opponents usually, you know, they know that they have the advantage and they will be pushing, you know, they're gonna be as aggressive as possible. So use this. You can go cover behind the wall and use it, and they'll just run into the trap and they will get hurt. And sometimes, of course, you get a triple kill as they say, you know. It can happen, so you gotta try it. And also, you have to know when to use the spell. You can't just, like, for example, use it in front of a sorcerer. Like, he's just gonna one-shot you with a Crystal Soul Spear. So you have to, it's situational. And of course, in the arena where I'm fighting right now, it's not very efficient because there's so much space. It's much better to use in small areas or corridors and like places that it's hard to escape, because, you know, you have to use the environment for your advantage. And this one is one of the spells. Of course, it's always nice mixing spells up. For example, you throw a fireball, they roll towards you, and then you do it. And if they didn't stun you before that, well, they're gonna be punished. Best way to avoid or counter these spells is to know the initial animation, how it looks, learn it by heart so you don't think it's another pyromancy. Also, you can just block your way with a high resistance shield, or just keep rolling away, because roll as much as you can, because it can hit you. And of course, they're very vulnerable when they're using the spell, so bows are perfect in this situation. You just can hit them in the bow and they'll be stunned. Or of course, if you were very close and you felt that you're gonna be hit, go for the backstab. It's a risk-reward situation, so yeah, sometimes you just can't roll out, try to get the backstab. Let's go to the next pyromancy. Number 4. Great Fireball and Great Chaos Fireball. What's the big difference between the two? Great Chaos Fireball is stronger version of the Fireball, needs 2 attunement slots instead of 1, and has less spell count. And you get it if you reach plus level 3 in the Brotherhood of Blood Covenant, or you go to NG plus 2 and you buy it from the Ghost in Drang Lake. When the game launched, these Pyromancies had very bad tracking, very bad. Then From Software patched it, and now it has amazing tracking, which why it's beloved by a lot of people. And it has very good damage also accompanied with its tracking, so that's why it's very good. And as a Pyromancer, this is your best range option. There's other range options, but this one is just, you have the spell count to spam it, and it's very good to mix it up with other spells. The best way to counter this spell is to roll away from it, of course, or block it with a high resistance shield. And if they start spamming it, for example in PvP, you should stay close as much as possible, because then they won't spam it, or you can get backstabbed in the process. So yeah, you have to keep pushing in as much as you can when they're spamming the spell, because it is dangerous. This spell can damage you, and it can be also mixed with other Pyromancies, as I said, which is always good, because you can always, that's what's good with Pyromancies. You can always like deceive and trick your opponent and bait them. Anyways, let's move to the next Pyromancy. Number 3, Forbidden Sun. This Pyromancy is as vicious as its name. It hits like a truck, and if it hits like a plane. This one is just so strong. And the Forbidden Sun is a very fast fireball that goes in the speed of light, you can say, and it hits so strong. So what's the best way to use this Pyromancy? First, let's talk about the drawbacks of using this Pyromancy, because this Pyromancy is so good that it's forbidden to use it optimally. You have to use it in a certain way. And what do I mean by that is that you need 3 attunement slots to get this Pyromancy, and also it's a bit hard to obtain. It's not hard, but if you don't know, check in the wiki. You have to go through a process to get this Pyromancy, and it just has one spell cast. So imagine 3 attunement slots and 1 spell cast. Now that's why it's super recommended that you use the Hexer Hood, so you can get at least 1 extra. And if you go very high attunements, you can reach 3 maximum, maybe 4, I'm not sure, but I think it's 3 maximum even with 99 attunements. And you can use the Northern's ritual band thingy ring, which can increase your also spell count. Some people use that. Anyways, this one is also situational, same as the area of effect. A lot of people use this spell very wrong. They usually just spam it, or when they're in a desperate situation they use it. And that's not the right way to use this spell. The right way to use this spell is to use it in very certain situations, and especially when your opponent is doing an action. And what do I mean by that? Is that when they're healing or using a spell, or even after you guard break them, which is very good, by the way, you'll see in the clips. I don't see that utilized as much. Or after you parry them, and the damage is very much worth it. This one is made. If they called this Pyromancy anti-healer's Pyromancy, it will be believable name, because anyone who heals, you just hit him with that Pyromancy, and then you just salute and say bye bye, because that's what it's made for. You have to hit it in the right situation, because you don't also want to mess with this spell, especially that you have only a couple of casts to use, so you have to be tactical when you use it. Of course, there's situations when there's nothing to do but just to try to pop one and see what happens. This happens, and it's also good for for rollers that are rolling away and are in they're on your what they call it, line of sight, so they're parallel, you can say, to you, so in a way. Also, you have to learn how to counter this Pyromancy, and it's very fast, so that's why you have to, when you see Pyromancy glove, expect Forbidden Sun. You have to be as cautious, because it's a very fast spell that you either have a good shield or you have to stay aware to make sure that you can roll at in the right time. Let's move to the next Pyromancy. Number 2, Fire Snake. A DLC Pyromancy which you get from the second DLC, the Old Iron King, and also my favorite Pyromancy in the whole game. if not the most favorite spell for me in the game. This one, just look at that. Look at that. You're burning the ground in front of you. Isn't that like super cool? It's you look man, this is badass. This is badass. And it's not just badass, guys. This one just destroys your opponents. Destruction, total destruction. And of course, this one also is, it's not, you can use it not like only situationally, but you have to also know what you like. You have to use it in the right time. And what do I mean by that? Is this one is easy punishable. So if you do it in close proximity to your opponent, they will just roll and then backstab you, and then you just can swear and curse whatever, but you will get kicked in the ass because you just can't do that, you know. Put that, like, you just can't use that in close proximity. But if you are in comfortable range that you know that they can't roll, pop that shit. Use it, because it has amazing tracking. It can go like 120 degrees, you know, or 90 degrees to the right, or even go to a semicircle after it goes straight. So it has amazing tracking. And the damage, as you've seen, it can do more than 1000 damage, which is, you know, in terms of Dark Souls 2, usually average HP in this game is 2000. So you're taking half of their health. And also you can hit more than one opponent that are, you know, behind each other, or actually not like 100% behind each other. They can be a bit away from each other. So yeah. And what's nice about this one, as I said, this one looks as Chaos Storm, so people really mix up with the, you know, the area of effect pyromancies and this one. They really like, they can't tell the difference. That's why I usually have both, you know, to you know, play tricks. Trickery in this game is important. It's like, you know, mind games is a very big part of this game. And anyways, as you've seen, why wouldn't you use this pyromancy? Look at that. It's just so cool. I love this pyromancy. I don't know, guys, what do you think about it? You should tell me, like, am I crazy that I love this spell? Because look at that, man. And it just, yeah, and sometimes it goes really in a circle, which is super funny. Like, I'll be surprised, like, what the fuck, that wasn't fair. Anyways, the best way to counter this one is roll towards the fire snake, and you won't get hit after that. Or the best way, which I do to make, you know, to do it safe, is roll perpendicular to the fire snake. And yeah, rolling perpendicular to the fire snake is the best way. And actually, I roll more than once because, as I said, it can go to a circle. And let's move to the next spell. Before I reveal number 1 pyromancy in this game in my list, let me talk about 2 techniques that are important when you're using pyromancies. The first one is you have to always combine spells, so use more than one spell. Don't be exclusive to one, so you can always make your opponent guess what you're gonna do next, which is always good because you're being unpredictable. Now the second thing here is using spell cancelling right here, which you initiate the animation and you backstep or you roll. What's good about this one is your opponent will never know where you're gonna use your pyromancy and when you're gonna not use it. So you can roll and do a rolling R1. Or my favorite is use a pyromancy, then backstep, they will roll because they think that you're gonna hit them with a pyromancy, and then you do an R1, which you hit them, then you hit them after that. Number 1, Great Combustion. The most versatile pyromancy in the game, no questions asked. In my opinion, of course. And this one is just so good. You have to equip that if you're a pyromancer. First of all, this one does extreme damage. That means the minimum I see is 700 unless my opponent is stacking fire defense. And it's the best spell to use after backstabs and parries and riposte. You know, what people call is wake up attacks. That means as soon as they get up from that invulnerable animation, you just whiff them with a Great Combustion. So it's one of the best finishers in the game. So this one is just so good. And of course, when you're playing against a parrier, which are now plenty in the game, which are good in parries, when you know they're gonna parry because if you have a fast weapon, instead of hitting you with their R1, just pop the Great Combustion. You know, because they become in a counter state when they parry, and Great Combustion is unparryable. They will like take 1000 damage. So as I said, this is my favorite Great Pyromancy in terms of versatility, and of course, without being biased, I'm also being objective as much as possible, because this is really a good pyromancy. And I talk about it in one of my old videos, which is advanced backstab techniques, which I will link in the description. This pyromancy is also very tricky to roll out from. Usually people roll early and they will get hit from the very weird the very weird frames that the Great Combustion has. So the best way is when you see the Great Combustion, is wait half a second, then roll away, just to play it safe so you don't get hit. And also when you see someone like using it after you, like in the invulnerable frames I was talking about, roll as much, like be random as much as possible. You don't want to get hit, you will die. Anyways guys, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the subscribe and like button please, because I'm gonna also do top 5 sorceries and top 5 faith spells and hexes, which you have to expect from me, and which you should expect from me. And anyways, I hope you enjoyed guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on my next video. PvPSkillz out.